Pakistan Army has, I think its real motto is not jihad in the name of Allah. Its real motto is heads I win, tails you lose.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what happens in the battlefield,
Right.
the Pakistani Army always wins.
You will always have those medals hanging around
No. They actually exploit defeat
there. Right.
to increase their power. And if they succeed, then of course they preen and then increase their power.
You're on Strat News Global. I'm Nitin Gokhale, and with me is MJ Akbar, thinker, author, former Minister of State for External Affairs, and one of the finest journalists India's produced. We are, of course, discussing aftermath of Operation Sindoor and what next as far as geopolitics and India's strategy in the world is concerned. But before I get there, sir, first of all, welcome to this program.
Thank you.
Operation Sindoor was a seminal jump in India's use of hard power. Hasn't been done for almost 50 years now after 1971 in that sense. And going into heart of Pakistan, Punjab and hitting the terrorist targets was something that has surprised most people. What is your reaction to this?
Well, to begin with, mild variation, it is unprecedented.
Okay.
Because even in 1971, 1971 was a declared war.
Yes.
It was not an undeclared. In 1965, we did cross the international border.
Right.
But that didn't, I mean, they didn't go beyond 5 miles
Sure.
and so on and so forth. And we could not really take out any of Pakistan's strategic
Nothing.
assets.
No.
In this time, right, this is basically going a very important strategic leap, even a quantum leap ahead of Balakot.
Right. Much more, yes, of course.
And now, the message, there are two fundamental messages that
Sure.
have been delivered, which will now, should be, part of Pakistan's thought process, action process, reaction process.
Right.
Number one, nothing is safe.
And nowhere. Neither the military is safe nor are the terrorists
Yeah.
safe.
Terrorists, though, in any
As it
case,
is, yeah.
are not safe, so the terrorists can't hide anywhere.
Right.
Second, that you're most screened. And by the way, the screening was not done really by Pakistan, it was done by its greatest ally. Basically, Pakistan hardware, their whole systems are Chinese.
The Chinese, yes.
So that they were smashed apart.
The air defense that the Chinese had put in place.
RD penetration missiles
Right.
achieved
Sure.
their objectives.
Absolutely.
So that itself is an important lesson in military, in whatever military
Terms you can
terms
think of. Yeah.
that they can think of. But I think that the most important message, and that really woke up capitals across the world, in order to prevent the unthinkable from becoming reality, sometimes you have to make it thinkable.
Ah, okay. That's a nice way to put it.
Prime Minister Modi made that thinkable.
Right.
And once he did that, Washington, which had been somnolent, Washington, which had been sleeping, right? Pretending that this was yet another little battle between.
Yeah, he said it's none of our business.
None
Vice
of-
President once actually said that.
Said that,
Yeah.
for God knows how they counted 1,000 years. I don't know, but we'll let the Americans do their math,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Suddenly, they realize that, the unthinkable.
Right.
And I think after that, I think the world really stood on its head. But the other point that you made, which was apart from the message, the dynamics of this operation,
Right.
is a signal of Prime Minister Modi's very, I think, effective will. it is easier to have a strong will than an effective will.
Yeah, but he has got a combination of both, I think.
Yeah, but it's easier to sound very strong.
Right.
Right.
But to put it in practice.
But to put it into practice is something. And he was very ably helped, I think, in this whole operation by the NSA.
Right.
Ajit Doval at the top of the security hierarchy. And of course, our security chiefs were. And
Sure.
it was very visible, their contribution. But I think the takeaway that I would have as an Indian is, while this was enormously successful, the fact of the matter is that all success in our war against terrorism sponsored by Pakistan can only be successful till the next event.
Of course, they will not give up because that is their policy, state policy.
Terrorism as an instrument of state policy was introduced in the modern era by Pakistan.
Absolutely.
And nobody seems to be very conscious of this. In October 1947, Pakistan sent 5,000 terrorists. The word was used, by the way.
Yes.
And the word was used by the Governor General of the time. You know, it is often forgotten that in 1947 we got freedom but not full independence. We got full independence only after the adoption of our constitution, because Mountbatten remained Governor General.
He was still in charge that time.
And he was actually the head of the chair of the Defense Committee of Cabinet.
Yeah.
He accepted this use of terror.
The Kabalis would come that time,
As you know, one definition of insanity is doing the same thing and hoping for different results.
Over and over again, yes.
And hoping for different results.
Yeah, correct.
So, 75 years, Pakistan has been doing the same thing and hoping for different results.
Sure.
This message at some point will get through that India is not going to succumb to terrorism.
So that is an important message, because if that is the central message of this, as you very lucidly explained, then what becomes of the Pakistani army or its entire reasons for being so powerful an entity in Pakistan, or the most powerful entity in Pakistan, because it survives on animosity towards India, hatred towards India and India's progress. So does that get a little shaken up, or does General Asim Munir then try to take over the country itself? As it is, he's in full control. What does happen in Pakistan?
You know, Pakistan Army has, I think its real motto is not jihad in the name of Allah. Its real motto is heads I win, tails you lose.
Okay.
Yeah. Irrespective of what happens in the battlefield, the Pakistani army always wins.
You will always have those medals hanging on
No. They actually exploit defeat to increase their power. And if they succeed, then of course they preen and then increase their power.
Exactly.
So their role in Pakistan's decision making keeps increasing, either if wafting on the winds of glory or exploiting a crisis and saying that we are the only savior.
Absolutely. And I think he would do the same thing this time.
Actually, the news that is emanating from Rawalpindi is that the army chief, Munir Khan there, is already, as they say, has consolidated his position.
Exactly.
Right? He is, all Pakistani army chiefs are on pins and needles.
Always, yeah.
Always.
You're looking over their shoulder all the time.
Yeah. So I think consolidated his position. So here is something which, in my view, he actually perpetrated. Why do I say that? I don't say that without evidence. Because after 2.5 years of something of that sort of silence, why does he have to go out and make an ideological speech?
Yeah, and rake up two-nation theory.
Two-nation theory, I mean, it has to be the prelude
to something like Pahalgam.
To Pahalgam. And the barbarism of Pahalgam.
Absolutely.
The act of communal barbarism of Pahalgam. The world must need to understand that, this is not something ordinary. right?
Absolutely.
And the passions that it has
aroused
legitimately within the Indian people,
Sure.
right, cannot simply be ignored.
And even in the attempted retaliation against India after Operation Sindoor was launched, they did try to hit even Golden Temple, for instance. So again, there's another that communal angle.
Because their whole, their doctrine of death by 1,000 cuts, unless they create discord within our country, they don't succeed.
Right.
And they would have then attacked Sikhism's holiest shrine, and then attributed it to us.
Yeah. And they did try. In
They
fact,
did try.
The spokesperson, the DG ISPR, said that the Indians have launched missiles which are going to fall in Punjab and attempting to target Golden Temple. And another thing he said was that they're going to hit Afghanistan. So, again trying to create tensions there.
Maybe they've lost Afghanistan also.
They have, of course they have.
So, that is their way of expressing their frustration.
Exactly. So this was the wild attempt, I would say, and barbaric, of course, Pahalgam. But now India, of course, has won the Operation Sindoor hands down, and the results of it as far as military results are concerned. The worry or the concern always remains that not enough people across the world capitals are buying India's reasoning or India's victory, if you want to call it that. And is that the reason why the 7 delegations, of which one of the delegations you are part of, is going? What is the government of India's intention behind this?
The best case that India can make is the case based on facts.
Yeah.
Right?
Facts can,
We don't need fabrication.
Sure.
Right? Which is
no false narrative required.
There is no false narrative required. We have a very articulate Prime Minister who has made the positions extremely clear. It is all in the public domain. Pakistan's involvement in terrorism doesn't really require any supplementary evidence anymore. Its ability to defend itself, protect itself, with all the sophisticated equipment it has bought from China, has now proven to be vulnerable.
Right.
We know from what I would call the evidence of money, which is market, that the initial narrative led to a fluctuation
in those defense company stocks.
Of China.
Yes.
But they've all come down now.
Yes, they have fallen drastically, actually.
Yes, because the market knows what happened.
Sure.
So I think in many, many ways, even in the terms of their long-term thinking, they will have to reevaluate all that. Our job, I think, is to be factual.
Right.
Our job is to explain to people, as the Prime Minister said, right, I think in one of his opening speeches, that we are fighting a war against terrorism. Right? And Pakistan will suffer collateral damage for having given sanctuary, for protecting, for arming, for financing terrorism. Our target is not a nation. A target is simply those elements of a nation which provide the support to terrorism. And I think I would add another message. If Europe, which is where I personally will be heading, with, of course, a group, team led by Ravi Shankar, is if Europe thinks that terrorism has only a single geography, it is very badly mistaken. It is very badly
I think that's a very clear message you will be able to deliver.
Yeah. That the objectives of these terrorists are to basically win imagined wars, which are, of course, being fought against us and will be fought. I think Europe cannot have forgotten the number of terrorist operations that hit it continuously. And now I think they have geared up a little. They are certainly far better at protecting themselves against terror than against regular armies.
But that is also on the way to being winding down. We don't know. We'll see. You're talking about Russia and Ukraine. But
No, I
we'll
don't
see.
know. I didn't mention any country.
I know. I'm saying that.
But London has been the
target 7/7. Yeah,
how
as I
many
said.
times?
Yeah.
How
Spain
many
has
times?
been a target.
Spain has been. Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, Germany's intelligence services in this matter is among the best in the
Right.
world.
Exactly.
They're specialized in
Sure.
it. Right? France continues to
continues to bleed. Yeah, exactly.
just now.
Yeah.
Right? It
Absolutely.
continues to bleed.
Yeah.
So how do they imagine that these forces
Will remain limited to
No,
the Indian
they are
subcontinent.
working in coordination.
Exactly.
They are working in
Right.
they are working in coordination in Africa. Right? And spreading
Yes.
this war.
You had once mentioned the arc of
Yeah.
the terrorism. So it can extend from Africa right up to I think the Central Asian republics if
Yeah.
things are not taken care of, I suppose.
And when you talk of world wars, we forget that world wars may be fought by different countries. Every country doesn't fight for the same reason. America and China in Second World War were allies,
Yes.
but for totally different reasons.
Completely, yes.
Right? America did not join Europe.
Until Pearl Harbor happened, yeah.
So actually America never wanted to fight Hitler.
Right, correct.
They might find it embarrassing to hear that.
To hear now, yeah. Exactly.
But supposing Pearl Harbor hadn't happened.
Yes.
So anyway, but conflagration finds the elements of a conflagration find itself. And I may have said this before, but I'm happy to repeat it, that the war in Ukraine is not as far away from South Asia as you imagine. How far is Ukraine from Chechnya? In terms that Indian audiences might understand, it's basically Delhi, Haryana.
Yes.
How far is North Chechnya from Chechnya, North Caucasus, South Caucasus, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Syria, Palestine,
eastward, yes.
Israel, Palestine, Aden, Houthis.
Right.
How far is Aden from Gwadar?
Exactly. And then Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, yeah. I mean, so these are, technically separate fires, searching
for a connect somewhere.
and we will. One of the connects is this terrorist
Incidents that happen. Exactly.
So if Europe wants to protect itself, it must understand and help contain the benefactors
Absolutely.
of terrorism.
That's right. So that's, I think, wonderfully put in the sense of giving the sense of history, geography, both. One final thought from you about what next as far as India and Pakistan bilaterally is concerned. Is there the Pakistanis hope that there is some space for comprehensive dialogue? Prime Minister has already ruled out anything with Pakistan. We have to only talk about terror and returning Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. That is a position which has served India well in the past 10 years. Going forward, how do you see that?
Well, if Pahalgam is going to be fundamental or basic instrument of Pakistani policy, how can anything go forward in a positive direction?
Right.
I think we have no option except to treat Pakistan as far as we are concerned, as a kind of genetic rogue state.
That's very well put. I think it's a new term I have heard, genetic rogue state. Rogue state certainly, but genetic rogue state.
Yes.
It was born in that sin.
In that sin, yeah. And that's our experience. So how do we deal with a nuclear, imbalanced, impassioned and irrational country sitting on our doorstep?
Absolutely. I think that the world must understand that message must go very clearly. So you are one of our messengers there. So good luck to all of you, and I think we'll see the results coming out and people understanding as you come back from there. We'll know what is happening. But thank you for your time and unless you have another thought which you want to share.
No, nothing. I think one of the things that we should be careful about is not to expect, there's nothing called instant food.
No, of course
in
not.
the international diet
Right.
of diplomacy. So, persuasion
Sure.
takes time.
It-
This is
diplomacy
the
takes
beginning of a process
Right.
of presenting facts and persuading. So we are only at the starting point after yet another major upheaval.
And also, like we are going into it eyes open that Pakistan may not change at all, no matter what happens. So we live with it, but take precautions, we take measures
Of course.
to protect ourselves and our
course.
people. That's it. Thank you very much for your time and your insights. As usual, you heard Mr. MJ Akbar telling us what lies ahead and what has happened so far, why it has happened. So do keep watching Strat News Global. Send your feedback, important for us. And of course, keep watching all our programs, not just the gist. For the time being, it's goodbye.